Hello ArcMappers, today, I will show you how to create layer masks and world maps with Gaea to be used with your landscape and the island landscape material. I will not show you how to make a landscape or how to use Gaea, only how to make masks. Okay, let's start. First, pin your final output as underlay. You can press G or right-click and pin as underlay. Make a portal, so the output is visible in another tab. On the Snowfall node, drag the pin from the Snow output and type FX, rename the FX node SnowMask and make a portal. From the C node, drag the pin from the Beach output and type FX, rename the FX node Beach Mask. From the C node, drag the pin from the C output and type FX, rename the FX node C Mask. From the C mask, drag a pin from the output and connect it to the Beach Mask output. With the Combine node selected, set the method to max and the ratio to 100%. Rename the Combine node to Sand Mask and make a portal. Mark for export the final output, Sand Mask and Snow Mask, by pressing F3 or right-click Mark for export. Create a new tab. You can press this plus sign and name the tab Textures. In the Textures tab, right-click and type FX. From the FX input, drag a pin and go to Portals, then select Final Output. From the FX node again, drag a pin from the output and type Texture. Select the node you want to visualize on screen and press F to lock the view on the node. Drag a pin from the output and type SatMaps. Rename it to Cliff Color. On the right, select a color from the satellite maps. Copy and paste the cliff color node and rename the new node to grass color. Drag a pin from texture node to grass color. With the grass color node selected, change the library to green on the right and select the color you want from the satellite maps. Drag a pin from grass color output to the cliff color output, set the blend ratio to 100%. Right-click and type Slope. From the slope input, drag a pin and go to Portals, then select Final Output, then drag a pin from the slope output and connect it to the mask of the Combine node input. Duplicate the Combine node and connect them together. Then, from the mask input, drag a pin and go to Portals, then select Sand Mask. Create or duplicate a SatMaps node, connect the texture node to the new satmaps, rename the satmaps to sand color. On the right, change the library to sandy and select the color you want. Connect the sand color output to the second input of the last combine node. Duplicate the last combine node and connect them together. Then from the mask input, drag a pin and go to Portals, then select Snow Mask, right-click and type Constant. You can also drag a pin from the second input of the combine node and type Constant. Select the constant node and on the right, change the output from height to color, and change the color from black to white. Back to this slope node, select it, and on the right, change the max to 90, the min to about 34, and the falloff to 0. Then, rename the slope node to Cliff Mask. Duplicate the cliff mask, drag a pin from the input, and go to Portals, then select Final Output, and rename the duplicated node to Grass Mask. With that grass mask selected, change the min to 0, the max to the same value as the min of the cliff mask, which is 34, and the falloff to 0. Make a portal for both the cliff and grass masks nodes. Drag a pin from the output and make a portal. Don't forget to add the connection for the cliff to the first combine node using the portal. Right-click and type Mask. With the mask node selected, on the right, click on Edit Mask, paint where you want your redwood or any other biome on your landscape. For this example, this will be the redwood. When it's done, click on Close Editor. From the mask node, drag a pin from the output and type Combine. From the mask input of the combine node, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Cliff Mask. With the combine node selected, set the ratio to 100%. Duplicate the combine node and connect them together. From the last combine node, drag a pin from the mask input, go to Portals and select Sand Mask. Do the same process again, and instead of the sand mask input, it will be the snow mask. Rename the last combine node to Forest Mask or Redwood Mask. Then make a portal. Duplicate the grass mask node and from the input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Final Output. Rename the duplicated grass mask node back to just Slope. Also, duplicate the last three combined nodes, connect the slope node to the combine node. With the slope node selected, change the min to about 10 and the max to about 13. Set the input mask of the two combine nodes the same as the ones from the forest mask, including the cliff mask. That was my mistake. Rename the last combine node to Jungle Mask. Then, make a portal. Duplicate the grass color and rename both of them to Grass Color 1 and Grass Color 2. Connect the texture node to the new Grass Color 2 node. Drag a pin from Grass Color 1 output in Grass Color 2 output to combine them. Right-click and type Flow. From the Flow node, drag a pin from the input and go to Portals and select Final Output. Drag a pin from the Flow output into the mask of the combine node. Change the color of the Grass Color 2 node, or both, so you have more color variations in the grass. Rename the combine node to WorldMaps_Flora and set its blend ratio to 100%. I forgot to change it. Do the same process with the cliff color. Duplicate cliff color and rename both of them to Cliff Color 1 and Cliff Color 2. Connect the texture node to the new Cliff Color 2 node. Drag a pin from Cliff Color 1 output in Cliff Color 2 output to combine them. Duplicate the flow from earlier. From the Flow node, drag a pin from the input and go to Portals and select Final Output. Drag a pin from the Flow output into the mask of the combine node. Change the color of the Cliff Color 2 node, or both, so you have more color variations in the cliff. Set its blend ratio to 100%. Rename the combine node to WorldMaps_Rock. Mark for export both of the World Maps nodes with F3, or right-click, Mark for export, then with both of them, drag a pin from the output and make a portal. Connect WorldMaps_Flora in the first combine node where the grass color one was connected originally. Connect WorldMaps_Rock in the first combine node where the cliff color one was connected originally. You can then select the World Maps nodes and press C, then select Output under Convert to Portal, so it will replace the lines with portals for every connections. Do the same process with the sand color. Duplicate sand color and rename both of them to sand color 1 and sand color 2. Connect the texture node to the new sand color 2 node. Drag a pin from sand color 1 output and sand color 2 output to combine them. Duplicate the flow from earlier. From the flow node, drag a pin from the input and go to Portals and select Final Output. Drag a pin from the flow output into the mask of the combine node. Change the color of the sand color 2 node, or both so you have more color variations in the sand. Rename the combine node to WorldMaps_Sand and set its blend ratio to 100%. Connect WorldMaps_Sand in the combine node where the sand mask was connected originally, then select the WorldMaps_Sand node and press C, then select Output under Convert to Portal. Duplicate everything from the sand section. Connect the texture node to both duplicated sand colors. From the flow node, drag a pin from the input and go to Portals and select Final Output. Rename the duplicated sand color 1 and 2 to soil color 1 and 2. Change the soil color 1 and 2 library to rocky, and change the satellite maps for both, so it's a more darker color. And rename the duplicated WorldMaps_Sand to WorldMaps_Soil, then mark for export. Now select the texture node and press C, and select Output under Convert to Portal. In the Combine Texture section, rename the second combine node to WorldMaps_BC and mark for export. Rename the last combine node to Minimap. Move the minimap node in its constant node so you can add another combine before the minimap. Connect the WorldMaps_BC to the new combine node and connect the combine node to the minimap node. Go back to the Base Shape tab and make a portal to your C mask, then go back again in the Textures tab. Connect the C mask portal in the input mask of the combine node. Then, right-click and type constant. With the constant node selected, change the output from height to color. Change the color from black to a dark blue, or the color you want for the ocean on your minimap. Now, we will add the redwood and jungle color to the blend. Duplicate the first combine node. From the mask input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Forest Mask or Redwood Mask, depending on how you named it. Duplicate Grass Color 1. From the input of that duplicated Grass Color 1, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Texture. With that duplicated Grass Color 1 node, change the library to Colorful and change the satellite maps to something more red, like the redwood color in Arc. Then, connect the duplicated Grass Color 1 node to the combine node. Connect the combine node to the WorldMaps_BC. Repeat the last process. Duplicate the combine node again. Then from the mask input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Jungle Mask. Duplicate the Grass Color 2 node. From the input of that duplicated Grass Color 2, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Texture. Connect the duplicated Grass Color 2 node to the combine node. Connect the combine node to the WorldMaps_BC. With the duplicated Grass Color 2 node, change the satellite maps to a more darker green. Mark for export the cliff mask, grass mask, forest mask, and jungle mask. Right-click and type RGB mix. From the first input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select C mask. Then, right-click and type Slope. From the slope input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Final Output. Set the min to 6 and the max to 12. Duplicate the slope node. From the duplicated slope input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Final Output. set the min to 13 and the max to 90. Add a combine node. In the mask input, drag a pin and go to Portals and select CMask. Add a height node and connect it to the first input of the combine node. Then, connect the first slope to the second input of the combine node. Set the height node min to 0 and max to 0.7, or whatever the number it needs to be around the same height as your waterline. Set the falloff to 0 and check the box Normalized. Connect the combine node to the second input of the RGB mix. Duplicate the height in the combined nodes. Connect the final output portal to the duplicated height node. Connect the second slope node to the second input of the duplicated combine node. Connect the CMask to the duplicated combine node. Then, connect the duplicated combine node to the third input of the RGB mix. Both of the combined nodes needs to have the same settings. Set their method to subtract with a ratio of 100% and check the box Swap Inputs. Rename the RGB mix node to UW_grass_mask. Then, mark for export. Finally, go to the Build tab, click on the menu for the base shape. Set everything to PNG 8. Set the final output to PNG, so everything is PNG 8 except final output. PNG is PNG 16 bits. Change the resolution to whatever you want. Keep in mind that 8K resolution is the limit for 64 GB of RAM if you use virtual textures in the DevKit. Set the range to normalized. Here you can change the height and scale of the landscape. That will also affect the landscape in the DevKit. Try to keep that by default for now. One more thing, duplicate the grass mask. From that duplicated grass mask node, drag a pin from the input and go to Portals and select Final Output. Drag a pin from the output and add a combine node. From the second input of the combine node, drag a pin and go to Portals and select Snow Mask. With the combine node selected, set the method to subtract and the ratio to 100%. Duplicate the combine node and connect them together. Right-click and add a flow node. From the flow node, drag a pin from the input and go to Portals and select Final Output. Connect the flow node to the combine node. With the flow node selected, check the box Primary and uncheck Tertiary. Set the rainfall to 35%. Rename the last combine node to data_fertility. And mark for export. That part is not necessary, so I won't explain it. That will just remove patches of grass clutter on the landscape. you can still follow the video if you want to do it. Now you can go back to the Build tab and click Build. That's it for this video. For the future videos, I will show how to use the island landscape material with the masks we just created, set up the ocean material, change the obelisk light position at night time, create lakes, rivers and waterfalls, cave systems, and some fixes and things I probably forgot, but let me know in the comments what video you want to see next. Bye bye.